You want to know why men don't speak? Because every single time he does, every single time he speaks about his emotions, every single time he talks to you about his day, every single time he tells you anything that's going on with him, he ends up having to apologize for what he said. He ends up looking after the people that he was speaking to, and he ends up having to tell you that whatever he said wasn't meant in a bad way, that he wasn't trying to start an argument, that he wasn't belittling you and putting you down, that he wasn't trying to say that you were a bad mom or a bad wife or a bad girlfriend. Every single time he tries to explain to you that just because his phone is going off does not mean he's cheating on you, he must be cheating on you. This man literally cannot win. No matter what he does, it's going to be wrong. So men have learned to live in silence and fight battles you can't even imagine or handle because it is simply just easier.
Ladies, let me tell y'all something. These single grown men, when I say grown men, I mean have their own car, have their own place, make a decent living, take care of their kids. These single grown men, they not playing with us. They not dealing with no toxicity. They not dealing with no tit for tat. They not dealing with no attitudes. Like, they not dealing with it. They looking for women with motherly qualities that's nurturing, women who are actually being women that listens, women that allows them to lead. Like, they not playing. They leaving all that extra rotten ass, arguing ass, confrontational ass shit at the door. This not no pick-me post. This is definitely not no pick-me post. They not playing. They protecting their peace. Literally. They not dealing with that shit. And they not wrong. Women that can't even hold fucking conversations. Intellectual conversations at that. They're not dealing with it. They leaving y'all ass at the door.
The explanation was a ransom. That's the part that gets missed in the cultural conversation about male emotional communication. For years, men were coached by therapy culture, by relationship advice, by the ambient messaging of every rom-com and women's magazine, to explain themselves, share your feelings, communicate your reasoning, give her the context she needs to understand, and the explanation was received, evaluated, argued with, used as evidence in a case against him, or simply ignored. The explanation had no functional value for the man who gave it. It served only as raw material for continued negotiation.
Most women might not even realize that they're pushing their man away until it's too late, until he's gone. Here's how you notice. It's not always cheating that drives men out. It's disrespect, constant negativity, emasculinizing him, belittling him, and making him feel like no matter what he does, it's never enough. When men feel drained instead of inspired, they don't explode. They retreat. They stop opening up. They stop putting in effort. They stop fighting for the relationship. And then the women play the victim, acting blindsided when he finally leaves. But the truth is, you created an environment where he couldn't thrive, where his presence felt like a burden instead of a blessing. And men will not stay where they feel unvalued, unseen, unappreciated. So if your man is pulling away, stop pointing the finger at him and look in the mirror. You might be the reason. Respect him, admire him, build him up instead of tearing him down, because the moment he realizes peace exists without you, he'll never come back. And that's a hard truth most women don't want to hear.
The men who've stopped explaining aren't emotionally stunted. Many of them are the most emotionally self-aware men in the room. They've simply recognized that explanation, without an audience willing to honor it, is performance. One more form of male performance that the recipient considers a baseline entitlement rather than a gift. When you stop performing the explanation, one of two things happens. The relationship recalibrates around actual communication, or it ends. Both outcomes are better than the endless loop.
When a man feels rejected in the bedroom, he's not going to sit down and explain it to you. He's not just going to come out and tell you exactly how he feels unwanted or underappreciated. He just adapts to it. He gets quiet. He will start to pull back, and it usually happens very slowly, and you don't really notice until one day he feels like a stranger, and you're left wondering, what happened? What changed? It's not just about sex. It's about feeling wanted and chosen by you. When he actually feels that desire by his woman, he will show up different, way more present, more into it, and probably more willing to step up in the relationship. That feeds everything else. So yeah, understanding this stuff helps. Not so you can fake it or ignore how you feel. That's not what I'm saying. But what's actually going on with him, most women never look at it that deep, and that's exactly why the spark will slowly start to die without you realizing it. So I'm trying to help you.
This might be the hardest lesson that I've ever learned about anxious attachment, and I want to share it with you guys. I used to constantly look for proof, constantly. I used to ask, do you love me? Are we okay? Are you sure we're okay? Why are you distant? I wanted reassurance all the time, not because my partner was essentially doing anything wrong, but because my nervous system, it didn't feel safe. And then I stopped asking, and this is what I started doing. I started watching. Because love, it's not just something that you hear, it's something that you experience, all right? So I started paying attention to effort, to consistency, to actions, to his reliability. And I learned that secure love, it isn't built on constant reassurance. It's built on trust in yourself. Did you need words, actions, or both to finally feel secure? Comment below.
Men who feel uncertain about how to participate in today's dating culture with confidence tend to choose to avoid dating entirely rather than risk awkward situations or misunderstandings. But the men who've stopped explaining aren't confused about the rules. They've exited the rule structure. The man who no longer explains himself has made a different calculation. His reasoning, his motivations, his interior logic, these are his property. He is not obligated to render them available for external audit as a condition of being treated with basic respect.
It starts small, one conversation. He says something simple, clear, nothing crazy, and somehow it turns into something he never said. Let's say he says, I just need a minute. Somehow that simple sentence turns into, you never have time for me. So now the man is sitting there trying to fix a meaning he didn't even create. So he slows it down and he explains it again. He's more careful this time, thinking maybe if I change the language a little bit, it'll make more sense to her. But it doesn't, because now the focus isn't what he said, it's how it was felt. The conversation is no longer about understanding, it's about defending. So now he's explaining his explanation, trying to clean up something that keeps getting reshaped in real time. After a while, something clicks for him in terms of strategy. He realizes, I can say this same thing 10 different ways and still end up in the same place. And that's the moment everything changes. Not a loud change, nothing too dramatic, just quiet adjustment. He starts shortening his sentences, removing details, cutting out the parts that he knows will get twisted, till eventually there's nothing left to cut. And that's how a man goes from explaining to simplifying to silence.
If a man stops arguing, this means he's already checked out. And most women completely miss this. When a man suddenly goes quiet, stops pushing back, stops getting heated, disagrees with everything, or says nothing, most women think they finally won. They didn't. They lost him. And here's what actually is happening. When a man is arguing with you, he still cares. Conflict means investment. He still thinks you're worth the energy of a fight. Of course, we're talking here just like normal fighting, no verbal abuse or anything like that. But he still thinks you're worth the energy and the time. And the moment he stops permanently, not a cool down, not healthy regulation, but a complete shutdown of any real reaction, he has emotionally exited. He is not being peaceful, he's being indifferent. Indifference is the actual end of a relationship, not the fight, the silence that comes when he stops bothering to fight at all. And there is a very clear difference between a man who manages his emotions and comes back to resolve something, and a man who has quietly decided you are no longer worth the conversation. One is emotional maturity, which we all want. The other is a slow exit he hasn't announced yet. So if your man used to push back, used to care enough to argue, and now all of a sudden he just agrees, deflects, or disappears into his phone, stop celebrating that peace, start paying attention. Because the absence of conflict is not always harmony. Sometimes it's just a man who has already left and just hasn't moved his things out yet.
The going crazy response is genuinely revealing. The need to understand why, to extract an explanation, to have his reasoning delivered on demand, is a form of control that operated under the language of communication. A woman who demands an explanation isn't always asking for clarity. Sometimes she's asking for a submission point, a place in the conversation where his stated reasoning can be challenged, redirected, or overridden. The man who's stopped explaining has simply declined to provide the submission point.
When he goes quiet, please know that he's not ignoring you. He is saving you. You know how it works with most women. We talk to untangle the chaos that we've created in our heads. We need the words out loud to see some sort of path. He is wired completely different. When the weight hits him, he doesn't reach for you first. He goes dead quiet. Not because he's mad, not because he's done with you, but because his mind is at war with himself. So let him work through it on his own terms. For him, talking about the problem with no solution yet feels like a failure. It feels like dumping broken glass on your lap and saying, hey, fix this for me. He hates that. So he carries it inside, chews on it for a little while. That silence that you feel is rejection. It's not. It is your protection. He's shielding you from the storm while he is still standing in the middle of it, dealing with it on his own. Some men go even deeper. They lock the door, kill the noise, and don't come out until they have killed that problem, or at least have created a solution for it. Until he has an answer, until he can walk back in with you and say, it's handled, I've got it, the words feel useless to him. The worst thing you can do is chase him into that cave and demand that he acts like you would. No, the best thing you can do for him is simple. Give him the space that he desperately needs in that moment. Let him know that you're there, you're calm, and you're not going anywhere. But again, give him that space. Sometimes love looks like sitting on the couch beside your man who hasn't said a word in hours. Just be present with him, because when he finally speaks, it will not be to complain. It will be to tell you that the war is over and he's made sure you never had to fight it. That is how he loves. Quietly, completely, alone first, so you never have to be. So thank him.
What follows the explanation removal is usually telling. Some women recalibrate. They stop treating his reasoning as a negotiating position and start engaging with him as an autonomous person who makes choices. Those relationships, if they proceed, are genuinely different in quality. Others escalate. They interpret the silence as aggression, as withholding, as a power move. The escalation itself confirms why the explanation was withdrawn in the first place. The reading of silence as an attack demonstrates that the explanation was always going to be weaponized.
When are women going to learn that men are not trying to argue? Sometimes men are coming to you, trying to be heard, trying to be understood, trying to get you to listen and understand. Maybe that man is not looking for an argument. Maybe he is struggling with finding the words to say to you to make you understand how he feels. He's not looking to be attacked. He's not looking for it to be deflected back on him. He's not looking for an argument. He just wants you to understand how he feels so you can actually fix the problem instead of blaming him for why the problem exists. Maybe his anger is not actually anger. Maybe it's frustration from being misunderstood, from not being heard, from not being seen, to have everything that he says brushed under the rug until the next argument. Maybe that man is trying to express to you how he feels, but he can't find the words to say, or maybe he's saying too much, or maybe he's saying too little, or maybe he's not saying anything at all because he doesn't want you to think that it's going to turn into an argument. Maybe it's just a misunderstanding, and some of these women out here will literally end relationships over misunderstandings because they're too prideful to put their ego aside and actually listen to what your man has to say to you. How many men have finally shut down because of things that turn into arguments? How many men are misunderstood? How many men go unseen or unheard by their partners? How many men can relate to being so neglected by their needs that they don't do anything or say anything at all. That man never wanted to lose you. That man never wanted to argue with you. All he wanted was for you to take the time to understand and love him the way that he loves you. Okay, bye.
You're not supposed to think like a man. You're supposed to understand him. And I know what you are thinking. You're like, how can I understand him if I don't know what he's thinking? Here's your answer. Stop trying to make him think like you. Think about it, right? Do you really want your man to think like you, right? As a woman? Now, if your answer is yes, that's already the problem. Because the moment you try to make a man think like you start measuring him against your process, your feelings, your expectations. And now he's not being himself. He's filtering. He's adjusting. He's explaining more than he should have to. He's thinking about how to say something before he even says it. He is second guessing because he is anxious about how you're going to receive it. So now that man is just thinking. And from your side, it looks like communication. But from his side, it feels like pressure. Because now he has to translate himself just to deal with you. And that changes the dynamic of your relationship. Because a man who constantly has to translate himself, he's going to start to hold back. He's going to say less. He's going to share less. Because he's going to risk less. And it's not because he doesn't care, because he does. But the problem is, it's easier for him to just do less than to be misunderstood and to deal with what he views as your wrath. So he will continue to translate himself for a while because he wants to keep the peace. But over time, he gets exhausted. Just thinking about having to deal with you, it becomes a chore. If you actually want to understand him, stop trying to turn him into you. You have to understand that when you're talking to him, the way he's going to respond is not the way your female bestie is going to respond. And that's what you love about him, right? Because you're with a man. So if you actually want to understand him, meet him halfway at least. Stop trying to turn him into you. Understanding doesn't come from making him think like you. It comes from learning how to listen without rewriting him.
This was never really about them. The men watching who've stopped explaining themselves. You don't owe anyone your inner life as a prerequisite for their basic respect. Your reasoning, your motivations, your emotional history, these are yours. Share them where they're honored and received as the intimacy they are, not extracted as due process. The man who has enough internal clarity that he no longer needs external validation for his decisions has arrived somewhere most people never reach. Stay there.
I'm going to tell you exactly what it means when that man goes quiet and things are going really, really good. This happens a lot, especially the good guys. What's happening when he goes quiet like this? Again, and if he's not a toxic guy, if he's a good guy, right? This is if he's not a toxic guy. Those men, they go through a phase of decision making. This is what they do. Okay, so something must have happened. Either something good or something that he's confused about. And now he's like, okay, you know what? I'm really liking this girl, but what do I want to do with this? He's going through that phase. And what you have to do right now, I'm going to tell you, listen, nothing. Do not nag that man. Do not ask if you guys are okay. Do not mess with that decision-making process. This is a process. This is what they go through. The worst thing you can do is act clingy, because then that is going to influence his decision during decision-making time. This is normal for them. Let him stay a little bit quiet. He will come back. Again, we're talking about the non-toxic guys, okay? And then when he does come back, he's coming back knowing that he's coming back on his own terms. It's very important for a man to feel that way. Very important for him to know the decision to be with you was his, not because you were asking him to be and he felt obligated to. Because nice guys will do that too. And then they'll grow resentful. So just let that guy make his decision. He'll come back. He likes you. He'll come back. He'll come back.
You haven't heard from him in 3 days And now your brain is creating an entire documentary. He lost interest. I knew it. Something's wrong. He's talking to someone else. Pause and sit down. Do you see how none of those things came from him? They came from you. A man doesn't text you for 3 days and suddenly you're questioning your beauty, your worth, your value, your future, your desirability, whether you will be loved or not. Goddess, that is not dating. That is self-abandonment. Because the real question isn't, why hasn't he texted me? The real question is, why does his silence have more authority over your emotional state than your own relationship with yourself? Why does one person that you've barely known for a few weeks have the power to determine whether you feel insecure or secure? Because somewhere along the way, you learn to use other people to measure your worth. So now every delayed text feels like rejection. Every shift in energy feels like abandonment. Every moment of uncertainty feels like danger. And every moment of silence feels like you're being abandoned. And before you know it, you have stopped living your life and you started monitoring it. Monitoring his specifically. Checking, waiting, analyzing, obsessing, trying to find evidence that you are safe. But safety was never supposed to come from him, goddess. And here's the truth that nobody talks about. Healthy relationships require space. Healthy people have lives. Healthy men don't spend every waking second glued to their phone proving that they're interested. Sometimes they're working, sometimes they're with family. Sometimes they're building their future. Sometimes they're simply existing. And the woman who is secure enough to let a connection breathe often experiences a completely different relationship than the woman who's trying to control it. Because love grows in presence, but it also grows in absence. People need space to miss you, goddess. Space to think about you, space to wonder about you, space to choose you. Space to check in to see how they're feeling, to see if they still want to continue to pursue this. Stop trying to force certainty where life is asking you to build your self-trust. And that's exactly what I help you do inside the Feminine Reboot. Not getting him to text you more. It's about becoming a woman whose sense of self-worth doesn't rise or fall depending on a text. Because the moment someone's inconsistency can make you abandon yourself, that is the real problem. Not him, not the text, not the dating app. Relationship that you have built with yourself. Because a woman who knows how to stay connected to herself doesn't spend 3 days losing her mind because someone else disconnects. She spends 3 days living her life. And this is something that is chronically programmed into you, and this is your nervous system. This is your nervous system. This is why you know better and you don't do better. This is why you know the information, but you still panic. This is why you have anxiety attack. This is why you have all these negative things, because it must be deconditioned out of you. You have to reteach your body how to feel safe. And that's exactly what I teach you how to do inside the Feminine Reboot. And I cannot wait to see you there. I hope this video helped. I hope it gave you clarity. And remember, you're a goddess. Act like it. I love you. Mwah. Bye.
Stay strong, guys. As always, I wish you tremendous success. Now it's your turn. Is refusing to explain yourself a healthy masculine boundary? Or is it avoidance, dressed up as confidence? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in this one, hit the like and subscribe buttons, ring the notification bell, drop a comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. See you in the next one, guys. Till next time.